Unreal.
Kyle, have you got your phone handy? Go and read out what I said about him just before we went on air.
I don't know. We'll have to cut that out and edit though. What you said.
I'll give him a laugh about what I said.
You put, I've just had a look on this cunt's Instagram that's about to be on the podcast. It's actually embarrassing how much better his stuff is than ours. It's a shame that he's about to lower his own standards to our level, quite frankly.
Oh, I just thought that was see when you're reading there. I just had a look on this cunt's Instagram. It's actually embarrassing. I thought that was the end.
That's going to be the opening.
Sorry you don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
We caught you an impression last time that we started this.
We always have a debate about that, who's to hit the record button, eh?
I know.
Well, it was well founded that it's my responsibility.
Are you still the host, Kyle, or what's going on?
Do you fancy hosting, like?
No, because I just finished listening to the Rocky one, and I heard that you were going to ask me to host, and I'm thinking, don't fucking invite somebody to your house and ask them to cook your dinner. So I think it's only fair that you host, Kyle, to be honest. And see with the Rocky one, I was sitting the full time like, right, how am I going to get the Stallone joke into this podcast tonight? And the very last thing is Hunter does it right at the end. Fucking Stallone the part. But I've got
Hunter, we don't
lots of crackers lined up, guys. But lots of more where that came from.
We're off to a flyer then. We might as well just get started. I suppose that we're all here. Welcome into another episode of Morons Review Movies. That strange voice you've heard in the background there is Hunter. He actually has turned up for an episode. Cheap laugh number one, already picked. But no, we want to welcome in John for joining us once again. Thank you very much for coming along, John. I'm going to give you this opportunity to drop your socials, do a little plug, tell everybody who you are.
Yep, I'm JMCK88FILMS, also the artist formerly known as John McKenzie. I was on my first date with the Morons 5 months ago, I think.
5 months?
It's nice to be asked on a second date, even if 5 months is a long time. You must have went through all your sloppy seconds since then, just reverted back to me. But listen, I'm an easy date, so I'm pretty happy. Paul, this Dubs, I believe your nickname is. This is our first date, so remember I'm just as scared to use you are of me. So don't worry about making a good impression.
We'll go Dutch.
Yes. Aye. Yeah, it's been a crazy 5 months since becoming an honorary moron.
What an accolade!
Life just went uphill, honestly. Getting that moron coin is unreal.
Kyle, have you got your phone handy? Go and read out what I said about him just before we went on air.
I don't know. We'll have to cut that out and edit though. What you said.
I'll give him a laugh about what I said.
You put, I've just had a look on this cunt's Instagram that's about to be on the podcast. It's actually embarrassing how much better his stuff is than ours. It's a shame that he's about to lower his own standards to our level, quite frankly.
Oh, I just thought that was see when you're reading there. I just had a look on this cunt's Instagram. It's actually embarrassing. I thought that was the end. That's
going to be the opening of the episode.
Normally
just cut it.
But thank you very much. The last time I've got a couple of people who'll be listening right now. Remember the last time we were talking? I had a date the next night, in an early relationship. So it got released on the Friday, and she said to me, "I'm listening now." So and she was listening kind of in real time with me. So I was listening to it, and I knew what point she was at in the podcast. So 2 minutes in, she reveals, "Yeah, I'm actually listening on the speaker in my house with my mum, who I had met at that time, obviously." And then 3 minutes into the podcast, Kyle asked me about the size of Dave Bautista's Tallywhacker. just keep it to the fucking films tonight, guys. All right. All right.
How did you
sweat
compare to
rolling here.
Dave?
What's that?
How did you compare to Dave?
Let's just. Nobody comes out of that good.
Well, we will keep it to the movies, and we've not even decided what movie we're going to go through first, but I'm going to decide. Daniel mentioned that he's only just finished it, so I think it's a good place to start with The Cabin in the Woods.
It's a good choice. I was going to suggest that as well.
Those that haven't seen The Cabin in the Woods, it's 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. Starring a guy that looks very much like me, Chris Hemsworth. No laughing, please. John, you picked these movies.
I was thinking.
John, you picked these. You first of all, I want to know, was this your seen or unseen movie?
Unseen, because I think I said this the last time. I don't want to come in with something obscure. I want to come in with something kind of well known, and the well known films that I have not seen at this point is like could be written on the back of a fag packet. So I had to go. It was either this and The Conjuring, and I'm still not brave enough for The Conjuring. So Cabin in the Woods. I had no expectations for this. I didn't really know what it was about. I just expected like a kind of Scream or a Evil Dead type thing. Even I'm not a big fan of the Evil Dead films, but and then when it started that, and I knew the director had done Bad Times at the El Royale. I don't know if anyone's seen that, but I thought that was brilliant. And he was involved with Lost, which is one of my favourite telly shows. Early on,
John, what's his name? The Lost guy?
I have no idea. This was just the other.
Drew Goddard.
I do have some notes that I took.
It's just because there's a guy that done Lost that did quite a few Sopranos episodes. I just wondered if it was the same boy, but.
All right.
Sorry to break your fold there.
Kyle will be able to get it up, won't you?
I've already done it. It's this gentleman was called Drew Goddard. He also did the TV show Daredevils, which is a favourite of mine.
Well, I mean, I was just I had no idea it was going to have like a sci-fi kind of twist or anything. I was really expecting just a kind of Evil Dead with a kind of Scream self-aware comedic twist. And early on with the kind of Lost in the camper van road trip, I was thinking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm sure anybody that's seen that was probably thinking the same. But then as it started to I also think my expectations. I think Chris Hemsworth is a proper good comic actor. I think see all the MCU stuff. I think he's probably the strongest for me. Don't ask me about I'm sure he's got a great love length, just like Dave Bautista. You know, it does have that look about him.
Some guys have got everything, eh?
Yeah.
Sick of it, guys. It shite being one of the guys, I tell you.
3 inches is enough. 3 inches is enough, guys. Trust me. But I didn't. As it started to kind of unfold into this kind of, I realised it wasn't. It was like almost like a kind of satire on horror. Like see with all the stupid decisions that they make in horror films, and they always choose the wrong one, and as well as like character tropes and like the male gaze. So it's stuff that's kind of been done before in like the Scream sequels and even the Scary Movie, but I still thought it felt quite fresh to me the way it was done, the kind of dystopian and sci-fi, almost like a ulterior government type. W, get your hand up.
Aye, I was just going to say, like, I agree with you, but like, I probably put it above like Scream and some of those kind of teen, kind of horror type things. I don't know, just like when they kept sort of going back and forward to the guys that were kind of like controlling the sort of the outcome that they were going to face in that. I thought that they're like sort of, it was quite satirical, like you said, like, and they're acting, those guys. Both those guys, I think one of them, they've both been in quite a lot of things, those guys.
Richard Jenkins and Bradley something.
I'm blanking on
Step Brothers, is he not?
He's a dad in
Bradley Whitford was in Get Out, the horror film. Watched that recently.
Aye,
they've both been in loads.
Aye. and they were really strong actors. I thought that really kind of gave the movie like a sort of, like I was saying, like a notch above its kind of like peers in that sort of bracket, just because I thought it was quite dark humour in a way. Obviously, you're talking about a really violent movie, but if it's just that gore and violence and all that, then it's not going to do it for me, certainly. Mm-hmm. But I thought I did laugh at some of the bits when they kind of flash back and forward and they were taking bets and shit like that. Like, I thought it was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I thought the kind I don't know what I'd call that side of it. I'm going to call it's almost like a kind of US government pencil pusher. CIA
so the balding guy out of the two kind of guys that were controlling it, he's like I don't know if any of you have seen 6 Feet Under before. It's like a series. It's I think he dies in the pilot, but he comes back throughout in flashbacks. So he was in that. Like, he was a massive role in that show. I totally can't remember who the other guy was. But I've seen him in other stuff as well.
He was in The West Wing. I've not watched all that, but I know he's in that. But I thought they did quite a lot of the heavy lifting, especially with the comedic stuff. I kind of wanted more of the patter.
Don't get me wrong, like the younger actors as well, like the kind of teen like scenes and stuff like that as well. I thought that they were all pretty decent. I didn't think there was anybody in it that I was like, they're awful. Like, and a lot of them obviously were practical. Like the two girls and stuff were really like attractive and stuff, but they weren't like bad actors or anything like that. I particularly like the scene when the blonde one, when she gets murdered, she's got some real she's got some proper fear in her eyes. I was really convinced by that at that bit.
Mm.
I thought the scene where she was winching the werewolf on the wall was probably one of the best scenes.
What
the fuck was happening there? I don't know what you guys were watching, but I thought this was awful. Like, I really struggled with this film, because I went into this not knowing about it and assuming it was one of those horrors, scary, run through, get chased through the woods, and I was quite looking forward to that type of movie. And I talk a lot about setting the scene that it was late at night, blinds closed, lights off, volume up, sort of thing, to really get into this scary film. And then
we talking about the same film. That sounds like one of your dirty films that you're on about. You get the Vaseline at your right hand there as well.
It's the ones that you keep sending me, John.
Listen, if you know where to look on X-Hamster, I'll show you.
Anyway, John's cheek, and the title of this podcast is going to be 3 inches is enough.
I'm not sure I want to put my name to that one.
Already,
I'm not sure I want to put my name to that.
JMCK88, 3 inches is enough. Perfect.
No, I wouldn't even need to put that I'm on it. People just, if I share that, people go, "Oh, that's right. I must be the one John's on."
But you're mentioning there about actors that you wanted really good. Who was a guy that looked like fucking Shaggy out of Scooby-Doo? I couldn't stand him.
The retard guy. He's retractable bong.
Oh,
I thought
you're in a few things as well. I just couldn't picture where
it was kind of reminded me of, I don't know if any of you have seen Succession. It's kind of, it's pattern that was kind of similar to Roman Roy a wee bit, I thought.
Aye, is the Tony's voice in that. Aye.
Yeah. See that wee kind of whiny.
Aye.
The kind of sharp talk. I always think that Roman Roy characters. See the Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. I think they're so similarly. Just the kind of the way they read the script.
Aye.
So it's that kind of thing. Because I've actually just written down that I'm kind of nerded. I've got to write down notes if I'm coming on with you guys. I don't want to get shown up. And I've just got Roman Roy, so that must be what I meant by that.
Just finished watching the film, and you're like, I didn't want to get shown up.
Is anyone else with me in the camp of this movie was shite, other than appreciating it?
I'm with you too. No, I'm with you as well with that.
I knew you'd be in there, Bonzi. This doesn't seem like your cup of tea.
Bonzi, go for it.
I think at the start as well, like I was similar to you, Kel, that I thought it was going to be, there wasn't going to be like zombies. I hadn't heard of the film, so I was just going in completely blind. I didn't think there was going to be zombies and monsters, so I thought I was going in with quite high expectations of what I thought I was probably going to like it. But I didn't sort of feel scared at any stage as well. It more just felt too bizarre, too gruesome, and just weird more than anything. So no, I was really disappointed with it. I agree with what you're saying, Dubs, in terms of how all the acting performances were pretty good, and also when they sort of moved away from being chased all the time, some of the scenes in that were pretty good as well. But It was just too much for me. It was just way too over the top, and I just don't know how. It just seemed a really weird script that they'd done. I just don't know what where they were trying to go with it.
I think there was I know you're trying to come in, Daniel. I thought there was a message that they were trying to get across, but because of all this sort of gratuitous violence and gore and stuff, it just kind of gets like washed away at the end.
Oh, but like the humans being wiped out and all. I got obviously as the film went on in terms of how.
What I thought that they were aiming at was obviously that there was these people that were like taking bets and stuff like that on how these sort of kind of teenagers were going to die, and then they themselves got fucking like killed by all these creatures that they'd been kind of storing. And I thought it was obviously there was a dose of irony with that. Obviously that was what they were aiming at, but a lot of the kind of violence and stuff like that, it just went from like zero to hero. Do you know what I mean? It just went from nothing to like far too much.
And the ending too, I kind of thought was that obviously when the girl sort of has to decide whether they sort of made, I think they sort of say if she's the last one to try to survive or the last one to die, then the human race will survive basically. Whereas if she doesn't, then the whole world's going to end. And the only bit I got from that was whether, like, obviously shows to see whether sort of how far someone would go, whether they would kill a friend of theirs to survive themselves. But it just obviously she's kind of like, well, the human race doesn't even deserve to survive if this is what you're actually like, and you're just going to go about killing people just to save your own skin and not really having 1 ounce of care about who's actually on the receiving end. I
feel like you've taken this far too seriously, Bunzy, because to me this isn't even a horror film. This is a comedy film.
No, like when I'm not saying I'm more saying when I read when I googled it before I started and it said it does mention how it's going to be a horror film. You know what I mean? That was the only way I'm saying about how it was going to be some kind of horror. But
it's like it's a horror in the same sense to me as like, I don't know, Rush Hour's a cop film. It's not really, it's a comedy. It just happens to be about the cops. I mean,
it's more kind of like in the Shaun of the Dead reign of horror.
Yeah,
no one needs as good as that. Shaun of the Dead, but that kind of DNA in it.
Aye, I don't think any part of this was meant to be taken seriously. I thought it was like a parody on. I've not read anything about it, but to me it was a parody on like The Hills Have Eyes, Texas Chainsaw Massacre you mentioned, John. And there's loads and loads of different films that are like this where folk go out to a cabin in the woods, shit happens, and it usually follows this formula, right? And to me, it feels like, I don't know, the idea I think what's happened with this script writer is he's went along one day and it's like, well, what would happen if you didn't follow the normal horror sort of steps? And it's like, it's not going to be the end of the fucking world. And he's like, well, what if it was the end of the world? That's what I feel like's happened here. This guy's got stoned. He's thought that would be quite a funny concept, and he's made a funny film about it.
He's retractable bong.
Is it actually funny though? I think it's really funny.
It depends if you like horror films. Like, I didn't think it was
laughing. Horror films, you know that, and I didn't find it funny.
No, I know, but like, you like horror films to the extent of the 6 that you've seen whilst watching this for this podcast. I mean, like, for folks that are really into horror films, there's like all these certain steps and stereotypes. That's what they're taking the piss out of a wee bit.
That's what I was going to say, Daniel. It actually exceeded my expectations because when you see what it's called and basically the picture that it shows you, I think it's like the cabin, but it's all like kind of like a Rubik's Cube. When I seen that, I was like, I'm going to fucking hate this. And then when it was what it was, I was like, that's actually better. That's actually quite a novel idea for a movie. It just kind of didn't quite hit the mark that it could have, if you know what I mean. But it was obviously there is some like The Exorcist and stuff like that. Obviously, there is some classic horror movies, but when I thought it was just going to be like a standard one, I was like, I'm going to hate this.
I thought, see, on reflection now, the more we're talking about it, and I'm thinking there's lots of scenes in here that I did find really funny. See, once I got past that point of thinking it was a scary movie and recognising it was a comedy, see, like when the fucking unicorn impales a guy into the wall, like I had to pause the film because I was wetting myself laughing at that point. I was like, where the fuck are they pulled a unicorn from in the middle of this film?
I've got a note at the end, at the very bottom, saying, why was there a horse? And that's what I was thinking the exact same. They just out of nothing.
And they kept talking about a merman as well, didn't they? And then he actually came back and killed the guy that kept asking for it all the time. Is that right?
Aye.
I wonder on reflection, that watching this a second or a third time I'd find it better than what I did, because I think for the first hour anyway, because it's only an hour and a half long movie.
I've noted that if I seen it on again, I probably would put it on, just because it was something like different, and it was there was bits of comedy in it that I could definitely see myself watch it. I wouldn't rush to fucking like download it again or whatever, but
because it starts off well though. Like they get there, they give too many hints to the fact that there's something further afield, which I didn't like. Like they hinted towards the force field being there at the rocks. Like
even before that, when you see them leaving the house, there's a guy like mic'd up on top of the house. I'm like, I had the fucking bus here. There's
even when they get to the station to get fuel in that as well, there's obviously, you can sort of tell at that point.
That was just bizarre. That element was really bizarre.
I didn't think it stuck a landing as well. I'm kind of you on that, Kyle. I thought the first hour, when it was still drip feeding stuff about the other side of it, was really intriguing. It kept me on tenterhooks, but I just felt the reveal at the end of the ancient gods and that, when Sigourney Weaver comes in to explain it, I just thought I was just a bit.
Aye.
I thought that was a bit much.
That's when it started to slip away from me. Like.
Aye. But see if you've. I mean, it's an hour and a half or something. And if you've had fun for 90% of it, and it's meant to be a comedy, I'm willing to give it a pass on that. You know, I mean, a lot of kind of sci-fi, daft, kind of tongue-in-cheek sci-fi or horror have a problem with their ending, because it's too hard to tie in and still give you a logical reason for why there was a unicorn running about. Do you know what I mean?
I took a picture of it and sent it to some mates, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, why is there a unicorn here? But I quite liked a little bit when it was they're going like down the lift and they're showing you all the different what could have been bad guys, and you're like, oh god, you could have so many spin-offs of this movie where it does become those. Like, it's one they could easily fine-tune and make a lot better than what it is, but they need to, for me, they gave too much away that it wasn't going to be a horror movie at the early stages. Like, when I seen a fucking force field killing a bird, I thought, oh, this isn't what I signed up for. I signed up for like a scary psychological horror type movie. And it just turned into this fucking weird comedy with unicorns and mermen. And
the fact though that force field thing was Chris Hemsworth's downfall as well. That was pretty fucking. I thought that was pretty apt, like, there's that scene right up to that where it was just so fucking cringeworthy. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like, let's do it for whatever her name is, and then he rides the fucking motorcycle off a hill and crashes into a force field. That was fucking hilarious.
I like that bit, man. I think the one complaint I've got about all the different monsters is that, see, of all of them, how come we spent most of the film with like a zombie hillbilly family? I just thought, of all the different things, it could have given us maybe 2 or 3 different things chasing them throughout the film. Maybe it wasn't just one thing. Because then you just get a tiny bit of it later. But that was probably my favourite bit of the film for a monster experience point of view, was when you got to see all the other things.
See the villain or the monsters that went with it, with the family. Is that a direct parody of anything? Because the only one, for some reason, it reminded me of Hocus Pocus. Remember, there's some sort of old book in Hocus Pocus that conjures a spirit. But I don't think it's that.
I think it's the Evil Dead parody, essentially.
I know I got that with the Latin. Because that was probably that was actually the moment where it kind of fell into place for me. This is like a satire when she starts reading the Latin, and the wee Roman Roy guys like, do not fucking read that. If that's Latin, I'm out. I thought that was pretty good.
There's a bit Scooby-Doo-esque a wee bit sometimes, these films, which I quite like. I'm a big Scooby-Doo fan, but like, I don't mean in the sense that they're solving a mystery, but it's just like a little bit getting into the incorrect situation, but you can see it. You can see the mistake they're going to make as they're making the mistake, which I quite like. Do you know what I mean? That's taking the piss out of the right bits of horror films for me. But I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't quite land where I wanted to. I wish the twist at the end was a wee bit better. Instead of it being like sacrifices to gods, it was something a bit more simple. That I could have got behind a wee bit more. But apart from that, I fairly enjoyed it. I've got a funny feeling this is not in Hunter's wheelhouse.
It's definitely not. You know, my brothers, we don't mix well. But first, I've got one question, John. is this just a sheer coincidence that you have picked two films for us to go over where it's the main characters are part of a simulation of being controlled by someone else in a sense, or
I was going to ask
was
the
that part of your
same
planning?
I know, Joe. I was watching when I was watching the Truman Show today. I was kind of this is probably the only podcast in the world where the Cabin in the Woods and the Truman Show get compared on like a thematic level, but it is a complete coincidence.
There's actually a character called Truman in the Cabin in the Woods.
I know.
Yeah.
Just steal all my trivia whilst you've got it, Dubs.
Well, I think you might have that in your trivia, but I've got that in my fucking notes as well.
And see how you're talking about 6 Feet Under. Did you notice in the Truman Show for a brief second is who's the main son?
I know. You're talking about his name's Nate. He's in the Truman Show as well.
Peter Krause.
So it is a really fucking.
I did not intend any sort of crossover episode.
It's a similar sort of no similar theme. Obviously, the themes of the movies and the genre, as Bumsy call them, they're totally different. But like that, the fact that they're being monitored at all times, and then there is actually a character called Truman, I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, but it's like you say, when would these two movies ever be in parentheses like that? It's just never going to happen, basically.
You're meant to say, John, that you meant that, and it was all part of your clever Instagram movie reviews that you planned all this.
Yeah, well, the clever movie reviews isn't what goes with mine either. So,
Neil Lennon appears in all of them.
I would love to, and Brendan Rodgers. You know, he's a great character in the game.
Is it a big play here, and we're all just characters in John's universe now? That's what it is. He's now
the Matrix type thing.
Controlling us.
You've been watching Andrew Tate videos. Do you want to know how to escape the Matrix?
Too many Andrew Tate and Russell Brand conspiracy theory videos for one weekend for me.
I'd like to stay away from that topic, man.
Let's go back to talk about having dinner with Hitler.
And 3 inches being.
Would that make you the biggest guy in the Philippines?
What else can we get cancelled for, guys? What else have we spoken about getting cancelled? We'll still leave Burns' joke that he made at the start of the podcast every week there. It was really inappropriate. We had to cut it. We'll keep that out of here.
Can you tell me off on the WhatsApp what that was?
It wasn't even my joke. It's what you replied where you had to take it off because you would have got yourself cancelled.
Cut you off there. Cut you off, Burnsy. Cut you off, Burnsy. It was... The Morons would like to give a fantastic shout out to an incredible charity by the name of Cajonas Scotland and their website cajonasscotland.org. They are a Scottish charity dedicated to raising awareness about testicular cancer. They are here to help you understand the benefits of education and self-checks. So please visit the website of cajonasscotland.org and do not be a moron. Check your balls for life. Who else? Come on, guys, give us more on this movie. What else?
Right, I'll jump back in. Right, so I do appreciate kind of what you've been saying about the being satirical and the comedic facts, but just something I don't know what it is. If it's, I guess we've touched on kind of some of the horror classics for over the years, and I love them. I think because they were original at the time, and everything's been done to death shitly since then. And would probably in the last few years that horrors that have came out, I'd probably say Get Out's the only one that has impressed me. I think because it almost felt quite original as well. So I think that's probably why I enjoyed it. I think for this, and I know it's kind of sort of tongue-in-cheek, kind of typical sort of teens, high school, whatever, kind of going away, like these things that happen, but it just didn't seem to land with me to take it on board and enjoy it to an extent. And also I think the fact that I was sitting watching this in a world of pain at about 7:30 last night after a day on the drink on Saturdays probably no helped as well.
I had
to... the best possible thing you could do.
On that note, I had to really help you up off the couch to get into your taxi on Saturday night. But to be fair, it's all the free beers for Beer 52. That's what's been going on. There was too many of those going down there.
There was, yes.
And if you want free beers from Beer 52, jump to www.beer52.com. facebook.com/morons. That's
I think that decision to move on to red wine after midnight as well is probably not done many favours to.
You can also get wine from Beer 52.
that sort of horrible product placement would actually not be able to place in the Truman Show. Like
that's what I was just thinking.
Aye, we've still got that to discuss.
Yes,
we'll definitely get there. But see on this film, right? I quite like that it doesn't. It's weird. It must have been advertised in a weird way because I can't imagine that most people who turned up expected it to be what it was. So like, I'm surprised it had any sort of success because, from what I remember, it was marketed.
The reviews are quite solid, aren't they?
Aye, people like it. But like, I can't imagine how it was sort of publicised because it seems to only be advertised mostly as a horror film with a slight bit of sort of comedy in it. But I think this is relatively good. I don't think it's going to sub over the top 75 or anything on the leaderboard, but it was definitely weird. It reminded me a wee bit. Have anyone seen a film called 13 Ghosts?
No.
No. It's like a cult horror film. It's got the guy for Scooby-Doo, fully enough, that Matthew Lizard or whatever his name is. What's his name? You can look at it.
Lizard.
Lizard. Boy.
There's two films that have just popped into my head. And must be around about the same time, and that kind of similar thing where people probably took to the theatres expecting one thing and it becomes a bit sci-fi. Anyone's ever seen either Attack the Block or the Edgar Wright film The World's End?
See Attack the Block. Attack the Block is very good.
It's the pub, is it? No, eh?
Aye, I've seen that one.
It turns out it's like some sort of alien ship cloning thing, and they must have been all around about the same era. So I don't know if there was like a mini sci-fi boom in the early 2010s or something that I missed. Remember, I was about 4 at the time.
Oh, aye, so I forget that. Looking really young, like this is Hemsworth before all the steroids, eh? Like how long after this did he become Thor? Because you can tell he's got like a wee baby's body compared to his big Thor body, like.
Aye, well, it's on my trivia, so I think kind of touched it. So I think he started filming Thor a year later.
Wow, so he's got big quickly, like, because he was definitely not that big in this.
That Hollywood roid diet.
I would love to see him in like a Quentin Tarantino thing or a Paul Thomas Anderson, where it's something where there's real kind of dramatic chops in it, but with an undertone of comedy. I think he'd be really good. See, it's like a kind of cult leader or some sort of thing. He's obviously a very good looking guy, and he has he's got that kind of thing going on in Bad Times at El Royale as well. But I think it'd slap in a Tarantino one. If
John's missus and mother is listening again, I just want to point out that I think that's the 3rd time he's mentioned how good looking Chris Hemsworth is.
Yeah. A few people have actually said that I look like Chris Evans and not the BBC radio DJ. Not him.
Well, if you have
Captain America.
If you've kept an eye on the Morons Instagram page, you'll see some John lookalikes on there.
I've been getting it for all angles, including your ex-work colleagues or something. If you listen, I've never had a problem with you, but it's personal now, son. You know where I'm from? For Greenock.
Sweet 16, John. Guys, anyone say anything more about Cabin in the Woods? I think we kind of covered the gist of it. Burnsy feels like he's bursting with some more information.
No, I'm just glad it's nearly over because I hated her.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was just good fun.
I do think in terms of what Daniel made a good point though, in terms of if I had watched loads of these loads of films which I was expecting, I might have liked the change, but because I was going in with hopes and expectations of one thing and they were just completely wrong, that didn't help my viewing experience.
Has Sean sent in his thoughts, or is he too busy having a life
He's got a full 2 weeks off where he's not even having to send it out.
Has he genuinely not even watched the films though?
No.
He's been too busy messaging us from his holiday. That's.
He's been too busy. He couldn't use Sky Bet when he was abroad, so I've been getting daily messages, getting bets put on. I don't think he won one until Saturday when he got about £100 up. But before then, he must have lost about £100. So he's only broken about
Misses the full time he's away either. You can't.
He did vote in my poll though for this film on like Thursday.
He's never had his fucking phone at his hand. That's why.
He did vote for brilliant. So, is there a chance that he's actually seen it?
No.
Or is it just steaming?
Zero chance he's seen it.
It must have been a good holiday. I think he's just taking her to a sports bar every night to watch the football.
Aye. Whatever game of football's on, watch that.
I get the best review of my life just after we finished the last one, didn't I? When was it you, Kyle, that sent me it? He said, best guess we've had, 10 out of 10, would do again. So, and I thought, do you know what? I thought if I can charm him, I can charm Andy.
Makes a lot of pleasing with Sean, man. He doesn't really have many emotions that are above like mildly sort of happy. He didn't get much of that. Like he's a fucking dour-faced cunt most of the time.
Unless he's watching like a really mediocre film, that seems to like hit the spot for him.
Man, he loves that.
Well, John, I'm going to ask you about some reviews that the Morons have done recently, and I'm going to chin both Sean and Burnsy here for their scores. So the last 3 films that we've put on Instagram that we've scored is Chicago, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Citizen Kane. Okay.
Right.
Burnsy's scores for 2001: A Space Odyssey was a 0.25, and Chicago was a 5.
5. You do know I'm your number one listener. I know this off by heart.
I want to know your thoughts on this.
Can I just jump in before John does this? Like, I quite like Kel how, I don't know if it's Kel or Daniel that put the post up, but obviously when you put the post up for Space Odyssey, you obviously wanted like people to come in and abuse me. I think there was 2 folk. I think there was one person that said my score was wrong, and 2 folk said it was class. So I think you are on the minority really, and it is absolute cash material.
Although Burnsy, some of those accounts were looking pretty suspicious. They were all created right after that post, and they're saying, great opinions. He's really funny, and he's quite handsome and all. So that did kind of raise my eyebrows a bit. What's my thoughts on the sport? The scores. I mean, watching movies isn't for everybody, you know. But
certainly the least cunt.
Chicago. Oh no, I thought that was awful, that film. And just 2001 is, I think you just kind of nailed it on here. It's one of those films that I think is incredible, but if you ask me why,
it's hard to quantify it.
The last 20 minutes of it, I've not got a fucking clue. But and it probably ties in alright with the Truman Show. I think, and I say this about Interstellar as well. Sci-fi is like, great sci-fi should question where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And if there's not a film that does that more than 2001, then I'm yet to find it. That's essentially what it is.
Well,
Chicago, you know, Chicago's
5 out of 5. Wow. Well, listen, speaking of contrasting scores, I do think we're going to have a few contrasting scores here. So let's get the scores on the doors, and then Hunter will jump back to trivia once we've done the scores, okay?
Oui.
It's the only way I could find to segue into the scores. John, we're going to come to you first. You tell us.
Well, as I said last time, I do scores out of 10, so whatever I give out of 10 is half it on here. So I gave it a 7 out of 10, so that translates into a 3.5.
3.5 out of 5. Daniel, let's come to you next.
Slightly lower than that for me, a 2.75. I thought it was decent enough, but nothing too special.
2.75 is enough as well, you know.
Yeah, man, that's more than enough. That's what you're getting.
Especially when you're getting into autumn and winter. Dubs.
I've put down a 3. We've covered most of my kind of reasons behind that, but I enjoyed it. Pretty solid.
So we've got all the positive scores out of the way. Let's come to Hunter for his.
1.5 for me.
1.5. I'm going to leave Burnsy to last, and I'm going to come in with a 1.75. Probably closer to a 1.25 when I started, but I'm going to give it a little bit more based on us talking. Burnsy, finish us off.
I'm going to go the lowest of the lot, a 1.25.
Oh, that's all right.
That's more than I expected. You've bottled it, Burns.
Yeah, you came in with zeros there, like me.
I also came in with a 1, but I think obviously that you have made some good points, even though I don't really agree with them. But I'm still gonna up a wee bit.
Was I really that charming?
Yeah, that was it.
That's a bit like when you said about Space Odyssey. I can see why you use like this, but it was shit.
I came in with a 0 for that, so it did luckily get a 0.25.
Oh, well, right, okay. That was the right music. That was
a whole score up. This is probably one of the highest scores you've given in recent times. Looking back on the scores, Burnsy, it's not been a good time for you recently.
You forget
unless it's a musical productions starring Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Which he watched on mute in his granny's room.
I mean, did anyone score apart from Sean? Did anyone score Cinderella Man highly? Who's currently on that? I love Cinderella Man. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. And I thought his Cinderella ... man joke at the start of it was greatly underappreciated.
Burnsy, what does that do to the overall scoring for Cabin in the Woods?
2.29.
A 2.29. So in terms of the leaderboard, which hasn't been updated in a long time, it actually puts it slightly, directly behind The Conjuring, which is one that John said he was considering.
All right, I didn't know he'd already done it anyway. So
luckily
I didn't pluck up the courage and watch it and then find out he's already done it. So
there we go.
I want to know, how long have you been practicing saying that word?
I know. I'm so self-conscious of the way that I talk because you guys bully me and pick on me. But it's joined 152nd on the Morons leaderboard with Hotel Rwanda.
Is that Sean's Missy's favourite? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And that's because Sean's Missus gave it a 5 out of 5. That's the only reason it's up there.
It would be even lower.
Yeah.
Oh. How could that be somebody's favourite film? Blows my mind. It's like someone's favourite activity being painting a house. So like,
Will it just be the 1 week that Sean actually listens back to an episode?
There's no fucking chance he's listening to this. Sean, you're a fucking dick. He's never going to hear it.
And Cinderella Man's shite.
So I put it on Instagram.
And your toes fucking disgusting, Sean.
If everyone wants to see it, just tag Sean on Instagram and ask him to see his toe. He'll happily send you a picture.
Should make that his picture for the next review.
He made me promise not to. He asked me specifically not to do that because I was going to. But
if we get one new subscriber, we'll leak Sean's photo foot the Wild Wide Web.
Who
here was involved when we had a fake foot fetish page?
That's been discussed.
That's been
discussed.
Should I even ask what this is?
No.
Just about. I'll tell you quickly. At the start of lockdown, we thought it'd be quite funny if we started a foot fetish page to see if we could make any money out of selling pictures.
We've all done that. We've all done that. That's just guys being dudes.
Yeah.
The giant foot fetish, it was called, because our mate Dave's 6'9" and he's got massive feet. But all we got was a plethora of different dick pics, and then it got shut down. And that good came out.
Yeah, well, I sent those privately. That wasn't for.
That's how we met for the podcast.
Yeah. You seen
that was an icebreaker
in the background.
We had to make sure the Zoom was working on our phones at that point.
I mean, it doesn't take that much to the screenshot, so. I just think, are you going to the chat about using the photo for the review? Are you going to use one of those fucking 2014 efforts you found on my Instagram?
Oh, that was a fucking gold mine, your Instagram. That's going straight up there.
It's years and years of having no shame. It's finally the chickens have come home to roost.
Oh, aye, man. I've been there. Like I've been back a few times. Like you just need to deal with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
take a chin.
Let's come to Hunter for some trivia.
Right.
Dubs is already spoiled.
sign us off in style, right? So the thermal coffee mug / bong was a fully functional mug and bong as portrayed in the film. The prototype of which cost $5,000 to make.
Excellent. I mean,
It wasn't that cool.
See, as like the resident stoner of this group, I do hate how they play the stoners as being such fucking idiots all the time. Like they smoke half a joint and suddenly it's all about conspiracy theories and the government's against us. But I mean, come on, it's not
Maybe
what
it's just me. Most of the stuff he was coming out with, I was like, I really agree with that.
Exactly. Likely that for somebody.
And I think that's what they were aiming at, because he ended up kind of being like the winner or the hero at the end. They were talking up stoners. So
aye. Oh, the stoner was the hero. Like,
obviously the fact that getting stoned actually saved his life. Ironically, when people tell me that smoking kills, it ended up saving his life.
He said that what he was taking was meaning that they couldn't infiltrate his mind or something. Not at one point as well.
It's a bit like there's another film called Cabin Fever, which is another one that this is like taking the piss out of a wee bit. And that one, the guy survives because he's not been drinking the water. He just drinks beer the full time. He's got a bet that he would only drink beer the full time he was there. So he survives. He's not touched any of the water.
When was that? I've not heard of that one. I'm going to add it to my list.
Oh, Cabin Fever. I've just spoiled the twist for you, obviously, but no, it's good.
Right.
Cabin Fever. It's been remade as well, so make sure you watch the original. But it's good, man.
You got anything else to ruin for me? Tell me Santa's not real or anything?
At the end of Shawshank,
Titanic sinks.
The Titanic sinks too. Aye. He's a ghost. Bruce Willis is a ghost at the end of Sixth Sense, by the way, just in case anyone's missed that one.
Have you done that on here?
Nah.
No. Burnsy's not seen it.
No, I'm not watching it now.
Burnsy's definitely not seen that.
No.
I love a Sixth Sense, to be fair, but
I think it's good until you know the twist, and then it's just kind of like you're waiting. Oh, aye, that's the film where that happens.
When you see it again, you wonder how you never ever got it. When she's sitting at a restaurant with one set of cutlery, and he's sat opposite with not even a plate or a glass of water, and the waiter ignores him. That sort of stuff.
It's a bit like Fight Club. You should really have spotted it in Fight Club when you see it back. Like they make it pretty obvious that they're just the same fucking cunt. But aye.
But also when me and Keris go out, the waiters ignore me as well, so it's perfectly believable.
They don't want to look directly in the celebrity's eyes, that's all it is.
What else you got, Hunter?
Right. The movie's opening was a deliberate attempt by the filmmakers Goddard and Whedon to confuse the audience and make them think they'd walked into the wrong movie. As Dubs had touched on, the security guard is named Truman. This is perhaps a reference to the Truman Show, another film with a control room, unobserved life, and a singularly trapped character. But I do think there was more than one trapped character in this. There was 5 to begin with.
Fair enough.
That is pretty coincidental, though, isn't it?
Yeah. A bit too coincidental.
Yes. I'm playing 4D chess here.
What Kyle's favourite scene here? So when Jules kisses the wolf head on the wall, the wolf's tongue is covered in powdered sugar to give it a dusty look and make the scene tolerable for Anna Hutchison.
It's like my favourite scene with her in it.
Is it when she gets her back fucking smashed with a bear trap?
Oh, getting her back smashed was a different film I watched her in, but yeah, I know.
I see. I was watching you as he was talking, and I was just seeing the wheels churning there, creating up that.
In my life, I do a lot of things quickly.
And finally, during production, MGM saw the dailies of a scene where Chris Hemsworth instructs his friends. On the basis of his performance in this singular scene, they signed him on for Red Dawn, which is a film from 2012. 2 days later, Hemsworth was then also chosen to play the lead in Thor. So basically, whilst filming this, he then got the Thor gig.
This is really, really strange as well. Strange coincidences all around for this. I watched Red Dawn last night. The one with Chris Hemsworth in it.
Right, what is going on here?
Jay only watched that last night.
This is 5D chess we're playing now.
Yeah, there's a control room watching us right now, definitely.
They've actually picked the movies for us. Yeah, literally watched it. I've seen it loads of times, but it's a good movie. Very good.
The final bit of that point is that both Red Dawn and The Cabin in the Woods would eventually be delayed for several years when MGM went bankrupt, and actually they then ended up coming out after Thor was released.
Oh wow!
Yes, I was thinking that the kind of dates don't really add up with that, 'cause I think they're both like 2011 or something.
I think filming for this actually was during 2009, and it's no came out for now 3 years after.
Yeah, well, I did notice it. I've actually got the 2011 Chris Hemsworth hunky calendar, and he's a lot curvier at that point. So it's all stuck together now, right enough.
Oh wow!
Having a relationship was great while it lasted, honestly.
Well, we started it and they did ruin it, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
At least you've got your new Chris Hemsworth 2024 calendar to go back to, man.
Well, no one's bought me it yet. Hint, hint.
You wait and see. You wait and see. Is that all the trivia done, Hunter?
That's me trivia do.
All trivia down. All trivia down. Well, that does bring us to the end of this episode. I just want to say once again, thanks to John for joining us. If you must, please go on and follow him on Instagram. JMCK88FILMS, JMCK88FILMS. Someone says it looks like a llama, so that will really help us make sure that you've got the right person. John,
many people said I am the goat, though.
Hey.
Oh wow, I'm going to cut that bit. To be fair, I'm looking at the Instagram and it looks like your good lady's just followed the Morons as well, so you might be on your way out for Burnsy.
All right.
Oh, what should you let herself in for? Guys, that does bring us to the end. Next week, John has another selection. John, what enlighten the people, I'm sure you can guess, to watch movie we've got next week.
We have got the 1998 Peter Weir film, The Truman Show. One of my favourites. Oh wait, I've just spoiled it. You'll need to tune in and see whether I like it or not.
There we go.
Whether you like it, that matters.
Wait till we ruin your fucking life with this.
Oh no.
As Morons bid you farewell.
So is that genuinely one of your favourites, John, that we're about to talk about?
The Truman Show?
Aye.
Yes.
Oh.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, Morons. Bye.